Well, this is part two. When they upped my speed, or no, when I got that sudden rush of information, apparently it made my camera program have a brain fart. So this is part two of what I was doing just a moment ago, and it was a call to Cricket. I'm going to see if they're still on the line. Ah, they're still on the line. Hello? I haven't heard a peep out of these guys. But so far we've been on the phone for about 13 minutes, besides the break in the video that I make in Dear Viewer. But this is like, she's busy right now. She's doing somebody else. Because she has to. You know, where they make these phones, marvels of technology really, except when these phones are bought in a mass of phones. Any phone they got in stock is like that. Anything they have in their warehouse. When I bought this phone, I was going to get an HTC Desire for $10 because it's going to come with my plan. And they're offering, and this is when they started to extort money from me. This was an extortion and a bait and switch. And then I had to buy this phone for $10 more. And at first it worked. I mean, like I could get my pictures. Now the thing is, like I mentioned in the previous video, I haven't used my editor that's built into YouTube yet, but I'm going to try to do that when I do this tape. I'm going to try to, I'll try to edit out all this dead time, where nobody's going to say anything because they know I'm recording them. By now they have seen the videos that I have on Facebook and Twitter and every place else. Because I don't like being cheated, lady. I mean, yeah, look, I had a telephone modem. When I started out in this girl, you were just a gleam in your daddy's eye. I had a telephone modem and it operated at 65 kilobytes per second. I had no trouble navigating any website or getting my mail in a reasonable amount of time. But since I've worked with Cricket, it's even impossible to send a picture by text. And apparently, I mean, like, you guys are directly connected to my phone. Who stole my pictures? Somebody stole those. I know that I had them. I have taken my card out of my phone and put it in my computer many times since I've gotten this phone, and I've been able to get pictures. You know, because I try to download them every day. But now the Synco system wouldn't work, and now there's a download. So maybe it'll correct it. Maybe it's the Synco system. But maybe it's your phone that you have programmed by the NSA. I have that to consider because I spent 2 years in federal lockup because I told the truth. And I never lie, man. I never lie. And I'm getting pretty pissed off at you not saying a word for the last 5 minutes. What's going on? This is not what I call customer service. So anyway, they're not going to say anything. Well, I'm going to discontinue this video by saying that this is the kind of service. Tomorrow, I'm supposed to pay my bill tomorrow. Would you pay your bill, or would you find somebody else? This shit, all these cell phone companies do this to people. And I've just been ripped off too many times by AT&T, who owns a lot of these cell phone companies. Check it out. It's a monopoly. They broke up Ma Bell, but I'm not going to say anything about that because this is usurious. You're paying a usurious fee. Selling telephone time is the cheapest commodity that they could buy. It costs less than a penny for a minute at a time. No shit. These people are making more money than, say, BP. These people make a lot of money. And these people, Cricket Wireless, is AT&T, a company that will grub for money. In 1988, I signed a long-distance contract with these people. And that contract was to get long distance at 8 cents a minute. I think anywhere I wanted. Well, AT&T has this child company, and they are AT&T. But Congress has passed laws. Congress has passed laws that make it so that Congress doesn't work for you. Congress works for AT&T. Congress works for AT&T. It is hard, directly speaking. I'm going to try to make the picture so I'm not distracted. But the thing is, Congress works for AT&T. That is what they do. Look into my eyes. I'm not lying to you. The people who you are going to elect on election day are paid by lobbyists. Lobbyists pay them. It is an illegal practice, but nobody's going to look at it. Nobody's going to look at that, just like the Justice Department and the federales refuse to look at the local cops here, and that's why I made Free World KGB. And I made Free World KGB because I met a person in 1994 who I later found out was the most abused and tarnished person you could imagine. And her ruination was due to the fact that mandatory reporters who work for the federal government and work for your tax dollars refused to do what a mandatory reporter is supposed to do when at a very young age she made her way, she escaped from her involuntary imprisonment. And these people believe in psychology. And there is different kinds of involuntary imprisonment. And I watched 12 times at the minimum while the 7th Judicial District Court forced a woman back into a crack house. I watched that happen. And that's part of the reason why I made Free World KGB. And for saying the things that I said on Free World KGB, I spent 2 years in prison on a trumped-up charge. And it was trumped up because when I went to prison for making a joke on the web, I had written 3 letters to Social Security. 3 letters. I wrote one to the office in Clinton County, Iowa, which is in the city of Clinton. And I wrote one to the district office, which is in Scott County, Davenport, Iowa. And I wrote one to an address I no longer have in Baltimore. I'm going to make a videotape and try to explain to you the first time I was accused of making an overpayment. You should read my website. And it is in various places, but you need to read about Jack Schwartz. Jack Schwartz is a criminal attorney because he's a criminal. In spite of writing 3 letters telling these people that I was being railroaded and I was going to go to jail for writing a joke about a frog and a toad, a case which was overturned by the Iowa Supreme Court, but it took them 2.5 years to do it. While I was in prison, I never received medical or dental care. There was one doctor who tried to help me, and every time he gave me the things that my age and condition and can dictate that I have. A person in a suit who is not a doctor would countermand his order. So they would come into my cell and they tore my scriptures. They would steal my papers that I'm legally allowed to have, like when you file grievances. The state of Iowa has the worst civil rights record of any state in the North. This, in fact, has been documented on Iowa Public Television. I used to have more than 12 hours of that documentation in those because they broadcast them. So I plugged television and I recorded it on a VHS tape. When I went to my property in Calamus, which, according to a witness who saw Valeska and Emma Stephens enter my property shortly before the police arrived, and they saw them leave too. And I went into the toilet and there was an explosion. It didn't sound like an explosion, it sounded like, you know, like a sheet flapping in the wind once. And I was engulfed in flame. And the next thing I know, I was on the bottom of the staircase in my basement, and I could hear my building burning above me. And I knew that I was going to be blamed for it. I was blamed for everything else. According to my my pre-sentence investigation, which was done by the federal government, you know, and that is very interesting. The Justice Department. The Justice Department claims that in the almost 30 felony accusations which were filed against me, I was successfully represented in court because I just walked out of court. But they don't know who represented me. I was the one who represented me. I was the one who represented me. And when I was accused by Wanda Elias of threatening to shoot her when she made the not deposit for the Nazi redneck racist bar down the street, Stephens Tap, and you can see a video on YouTube that and it's called Incident in Stephens, and it's also on my YouTube website. And these people committed a really shitty thing on a person who just wasn't emotionally able to handle it. And this thing was a hate crime. And the details of that hate crime are related by the victim. Now the police have told me that a cooler that I was told was at least $2,000 worth of cooler and was virtually new when I bought this place. I believe that Julie Stephens has that because I believe that they just came in and took anything they wanted. They took my kosher dishes. They took everything out of the kitchen. They took everything. They took my silverware. They glued they glued my drawer shut. I had to like do a little extensive stuff to investigate that. They glued that shut. They took my wedding pictures and all my family pictures, and they found a cat box. Somewhere they found a cat box with cat shit in it, but naturally. And they filled it with water, and they put all of my pictures in there. And you know, that had happened after the second time I visited that place. So as you can, and you know, these people tried to take my life, but I was charged. And in order for the 7th Judicial District to say that they were being fair, the police, wouldn't the police have had to seal up a crime scene? I didn't do anything to these people. I didn't do anything to these people except when they committed a hate crime on the person who I happen to care about. And then I started to do what they do. Because when people go into Stefan's Tap, they're friendly with their friends as long as they're friends, you know, and they're buying drinks for each other and they're being friendly. But when their friends aren't in there, and you know, this is only certain ones, they'll just talk about them and talk about them. And Julie Stefan is one of those people. Julie Stefan is a font of information. And I decided that a fitting punishment for what those sons of bitches did to Wanda Butler, because the police wouldn't take Wanda's report. That's why Wanda made the video she made. And Wanda's not a public speaker, and she was really nervous. And she spends her time like she's looking. I said, look, just speak into the camera, tell them what happened. And Wanda's looking at me, and she's looking at the camera, and she's all nervous. And I stopped the video and said, Wanda, don't be nervous, okay? So she never got over that, though, because like, Wanda's been so abused. When I met Wanda, I was totally aghast at what I found out. I represented Wanda in a Social Security appeal in 1996. A Social Security appeal before Dave Bain stole my car. I used to have a car. And I took Wanda to every Social Security litigator within 100 miles of Davenport, Iowa. And that's on both sides of the river because these things are done in federal court. And not one of these cocksuckers would take her case. And you know, I never used to use that word. But you know, now I'm around these people who are tremendous homophobics, and they use that word all the time. I don't know what that means. But getting back to the subject at hand, that was the reason why I've had all of this shit. That was the reason. And I've been making these videotapes because for telling the truth, I'm being characterized as a lunatic on the web. And you know, there's nothing I can do about it except tell you that the truth can be found on what remains of Free World KGB. Because a federal judge and a state judge ordered that justice and the police and people are supposed to stay the fuck out of it. I used government documents to document everything in that site. Now it seems kind of typical that the police in Clinton County won't take a theft report and they've stolen those records. But I wasn't lying. And you know that I wasn't lying because I named everybody's name. Because I had the record. I like looking at my eyes when I look kind of mad, don't I? What I'm going to do is when I can find a place where I can just drop off the edge of the earth and just leave this all behind, I'm going to put that back up. because I have it on disc. But yeah, there's an interesting page where you see the byline and the story's about to start, and they took the story, but they left the byline. This is because these people who are being paid by your tax dollars can't get the job done. Whatever it is, they can't get the job done. So far, I've had my brains rattled by the police clinically twice. But they can't get the job done. Why don't you kill me? Because this is where I'm living now. I'm going to end this on this note. This is how I've got to live. The person who got me involved with Calamus in the first place, a guy named Banjo Jeff. I used to play with this guy. And the only reason I played with him is because at the time, when this guy wanted me to play with him, I couldn't play with people. And the reason I couldn't play with people is because I would cry. You know, I knew a guy named Marvin Gates, and I think he was a tremendous performer. He was a drummer and fabulous singer. Tremendous range. Hit it dead on every time. That guy, I think, I heard, would get so vernished because of stage fright he would puke before performances. But he still did it. I've never been I've never been afraid of anything. That's why Clint Eastwood is a really good actor. Clint Eastwood is the reason I went to prison. I grew up watching Clint Eastwood. And you watch a Clint Eastwood movie and it's like, if you do the right thing, you just may prevail in at least a little bit of the way. You might. If love is true, love wins. That might doesn't always make right. Well, I was deceived. So all I did was write about what was happening to Wanda. I won Wanda's appeal. And I've helped other people with appeal. I've never lost an appeal in front of an administrative law judge. And when I won Wanda's unwinnable appeal, everybody said it was unwinnable. But I had incontrovertible evidence. I don't believe in going into any kind of court without evidence. And when I lived in Calamus, I had video cameras on everything I did in Calamus. And I was always wired for sound. Now I can do that now. Because if people want to publish on the web that I'm insane, that I don't know what's going on, and I don't know, and other things that they said about me, that just is none of your business. If they want to, because they're saying on the web, I'm insane. I'm insane for moving into my friend. This guy heats his house with a wood stove. And it's rustic and everything, and I can live with it. But, and now we've got another roommate living with us. And I'm just here, like, when I come here, I'm giving this guy to store my equipment. And up until, I'm in the street, and I'm taking pictures with the camera. That now I can't get the pictures out of. And I really needed I'm risking my fucking ass. Where are my pictures? If those pictures have disappeared because of the NSA connection to Cricket Wireless, then that would just bear out the theory that 6 black ministers who practice in the West End of Davenport, West End of Rock Island gave me, and that is that the white establishment is using narcotics to destroy the black community. And on Free World KGB, there is 12 years worth of evidence of that. And they don't like that. So when I was in prison in IMCC, Carrie Carson, who was my counselor, it is her duty to inform the Social Security Administration that a recipient of Social Security is in the slammer and is no longer eligible for benefits, which my criminal file, when I was charged with not reporting that, says that they did. Now, when I won Wanda Butler's appeal, all of my administrative appeal rights were removed. I was no longer allowed to file an appeal for anyone. I was no longer allowed to file an appeal for myself. And I was also prevented from directly telling Social Security about changes in my daily living situation, like I'm supposed to go to jail, but I wrote 3 letters. And the pictures of those letters and an MOV movie was in a camera which David Bain was supposed to keep in his, and not mess up. And when I get the camera, it's got this big dent, everything that I was able to get from David Bain, which wasn't any of my guitars. I thought my guitars would be sitting in the closet, safe and sound. And when I got out of, I signed a contract with the guy. For the consideration of $1, David Bain agreed to watch my stuff and give it back to me when I got back. And and we only signed that contract because at the time I had a $700 deposit, which I was allowed to keep. You're allowed to keep the money you get before you go to jail. You can spend it. So what I told Dave Bain was, here's $700 and keep my stuff. And he wouldn't take it. Oh no, he didn't want to do that. So we signed this agreement that I wrote up. I didn't have a notary seal on it or anything, but I had $1 in my pocket. I had a few dollars in my pocket. I had left my wallet at home. I know this because when I went to my home a couple of months ago, my wallet is still laying on my bed. And everything's been removed from it. And it's laying on the bed. And there's a significant thing that's missing. And that would be my bank card, my debit card. David Bain used my debit card to transfer directly into his bank account almost $19,000 or $20,000 worth of Social Security money, which Social Security knew they should have stopped because Carrie Carson told them to stop it. And I was prevented from telling them to stop it while I was in prison. But I mailed the letters to him the day before I was going to the slammer. Did you register the mail? No. I didn't want to spend $14 to register the mail, and I didn't want to. But you know what I did? I made a high VHS tape of it, and I believe I still have that tape. Unless David Bain and the feds went through it and found them. But I made a tape of the letter, and the letter's on the tape, and it's a good camera, and I was able to get a nice macro shot. You could see it. And that's all I figured I had to do. Because the mail works, and I sent the mail to 3 offices. But I have another story about Social Security that I'll tell you, but this is already a half hour long. Now, so far, I have been able, I believe God wants this to happen. These things upload to Google just like Zoom. But I didn't finish telling you about where I'm living. So today, I'm waking up and it's difficult living with your friends when you knew them before they were as ruined from alcohol and whatever else is going on than they are now. And it really pains me to report that Banjo Jeff ended up called me a Jaime at one point. I don't like that. You know, I mean, so am I still waiting for you? I haven't heard a word out of you. What's going on? Let's see. This phone call's gone on for 44 minutes, but you know my camera turned off. So anyway, I'm living in this place, and the other day it gets down to around 40 degrees at night. And this other guy's living here, Dan. He's my age. He's like 65. Maybe he's a month or so older than me. So he's an old fart than I am. And this guy's got a breathing machine at night, and he can't be in the cold. So the other night, I'm up all night anyway doing my music or whatever I'm doing, and I'm keeping the fire going. And Jeff gets real pissed off because I'm burning the fire, and it's warm. It must be 90 degrees in here. Well, you know that heat has to get to the rest of the house. So Dan and I hung a fan on the ceiling, and every time we expect there to be like warm air coming back, he turns the fan off, and then he complains about it. So anyway, it's pretty fucked up being around here. And and tomorrow's the first, and I may decide to put. I got to put my things in storage because the place that I was offered for storage, I find out after I pay over $100 to move it here out of storage, is it's not suitable to store anything in. And I was told 6 months ago that stuff would be that would be taken care of. 6 months has gone by, and it's going to snow tomorrow or something. You know, it's freaking November, and I still can't get a response about my camera. What's going on? Hello? Well, listen, I'm going to disconnect this call and try to get somebody else. Now, if I'm prevented from getting somebody else, the viewing audience is going to know that. Now, I gave you guys the information you wanted. Now you're going to give me the silent treatment because you don't want to say anything, because you don't want to get pinned down like you've been pinned down. Okay? I had to put a tape on YouTube of my talking to you guys because I was told that you had given me another account when I wasn't getting my 128 kilobytes per second. I can't run downloads at 5 kilobytes per second. I can't do that, man. You know, I have a life. Really. I haven't got the time for that. So, and even if I'm not getting high speed, I'm guaranteed by your terms and conditions to get 128 kilobytes per second. And I don't think that the federal court is going to allow you to say, well, we can just change that at a whim and will. We don't have to notify anybody. Because that's what your terms and conditions say. And nobody would sign a contract with you or said anything otherwise. So I'm going to call you back. All right? I'm going to call your asses right back. Ha ha. Yeah. Fat fucking chance.
Let's keep going. Just F. Let's try these options first.
No, I want to talk to somebody who's going to be an asshole. I want to display how much of an asshole they are to the world.
Press 3. For warranty or insurance information, press 4. Sure. I'll get one of our best folks.
Oh, now they'll do
By the
it.
way,
They hung up. They've hung up. They don't want to talk about it.
welcome to Cricket Wireless. Let's get started. Oprime el 2 para español. If you'd like to make a quick payment now, press 1. Let's make this quick and easy. Your choices are payments and auto pay.
See, I press 0.
To buy
And
add-ons like data.
I don't want anything from you. Here.
Let's try these options first.
No, I don't want to try those
Payment
options.
stuff, press 1.
Nah, that won't
Your
work.
features, press 2.
Nah, that won't work either.
Voicemail help, press 3.
That won't work either.
For warranty,
Okay, let's try this.
press 4.
I pressed 4.
Okay, devices, press 1 to hear warranty info, or 2 for insurance claims.
0.
Just a sec. Oh, and by the way, the lawyers wanted me to tell you that your call might be monitored or recorded.
When they tell you that, if you live in America, you can turn on your recorder and you don't have to tell them you are. As a matter of fact,
Yes, sir.
hello.
Hi, welcome to Cricket. This is Jason.
Who is this?
Hi, welcome to
Who
Cricket. My name is Jason, sir.
Lathan?
Jason.
Jason?
Yes.
Oh, hello, Jason. Listen, my name is Jeff Soboroff, and my telephone number is okay. And why don't you read me your disclaimer and everything, so that we can get on with this? You know, to have to sit and husband your account, and when you get cut off the web, because the system's just not going to kick it out. You guys are cheating me out of data, and you're cheating me out of speed. It's a combination of speed and data that you owe to people. As a matter of fact, since this is a very cheap commodity to providing. Look, I've looked up the data. The people who own you, AT&T, who are a monopoly in this, really, they own you and subsidiary companies, and they own all the towers. Your company's trying to tell me that there isn't a tower service in Calamus, Iowa. But there is. I know that there is, because I've used an AT&T phone in Calamus, Iowa. By God. Well, so what's the matter with you? You just say, customer service will literally say anything to anyone to get them to sign a contract. Now, I've got to get back online because I really want to get shed of you guys. I want to find another telephone company who I'm going to rightfully assume will do the same crummy things to me that you are. 5 companies have so far. And the reason why it takes me so much money to go to federal court with all of you is because it costs about $500 a head. So I had to save up $2,500. I've been living in the street to do that. Because all you guys are doing the same things to their customers. You throttle back their data when you have no reason to. You throttle back their data more than your terms and services allow you to. You tell them that they can buy a telephone for $10, but you don't have it in stock, so you sell them a telephone for $20. And that's called bait and switch, and you're not allowed to do that. And then the telephone, all of them now, how does pictures that I just took tonight and that I looked at in my gallery are now gone. The first thing that I'm going to do when I redo my settings on my phone, should I just blank my phone and start over again? Do you think it'll work then? And it's really unfortunate I have to blank my phone because all my contacts will be gone. But I'll do that. I'll blank my phone. I'm going to do that, as a matter of fact. Let's see if it works then, because I can't be without a phone for a week. You know? I mean, like I'm now trapped into my account now. I gotta give you. I need a phone. I need a phone with a camera on it. I need to have a phone with a camera on it. I found that, and even though it's not a good camera, it's better than nothing. And I need to be able to have my pictures go into my computer. And my phone needs to work with the Synco system. And this phone is supposed to. I talked to LG. This phone is supposed to be compatible with everything. And it's supposed to work. For instance, it's not supposed to type letters of the alphabet if you put your finger in the center of the phone, in the back of the phone. If you're texting, and even if you're not texting, it'll start to text sometimes. I don't know what's with this phone. Maybe it's not shielded. Maybe it's defective. Maybe I really deserve a new phone. But you know what? Your terms and conditions should call for the fact that you'll send me a phone and I'll send you back this phone in the package the new phone came in. That would be, but you guys can't do that. You won't do that for the same reason you don't want to give me the right amount of speed. So I'm going to take this phone apart now. And you're going to refresh my system and do whatever the gentleman did a week ago that made my phone run at 120 kilobytes per second for almost 3.5 days, when I had to call you again and spend at least $1,500 of your money, because I will get that in court. That's what I make. People like the way I play guitar, apparently. I get a lot of money for doing it. I don't know why I get so much money. Maybe there's just too much disposable cash. However, you're going to give me $500 an hour for the 100 hours and more that I've spent on the phone husbanding my account and trying to get back online. Okay, because I found, when this started, that just because I take my phone apart and turn it off and take the battery out and the SIM card out, as I'm often instructed to do, so I just do that automatically whenever we refresh this thing. And it's a hell of a thing taking the SIM card out of this. You can break the phone doing this in and out and in and out, and you wear out the SIM card. Wear and tear on the SIM card, man, and but then you're going to want another $12 for a SIM card. And when my SIM card fails, I get a hold of you. My phone won't work. But, that's what you do to people. You don't care. In any case, that's what I think that we're going to get down to do tonight. Tonight we're going to, refresh my system and crap. And now this has worked twice. Now there are things that you are supposed to do to tell your remote computer that the customer has complained, and to get on the stick and give them 128 kilobytes per second. And when that happens, I'll be a happy camper. Okay? Make me a happy camper, please. Thank you for your time and attention. I've got way too much stuff I got to put on YouTube right now. Fix this. And I'll stop making these videos. And I'll start, look, your people cheated me, and I've detailed that before to my internet audience in detail. AT&T already took $1,500 from me, which I only got a small amount of back because I had no idea that when I signed a contract with them to get my long distance at 8 cents a minute, they would farm it out to one of their child companies, such as you, who then charged me $4 a minute. That went on for years. And that's the kind of way the people who own you will grub for money. Thank you for your time. Well, now I'm going to take my phone apart, cause I gotta take my phone apart. And I did detail to him that he ought to wait a minute so that I can get this thing to turn off by ripping the battery off. That's what I'm doing. Now, this thing will engage programs automatically too. It shouldn't do that, but it freaking does. And I'm often told to take the SIM card out. That is a big pain in the ass. That's a giant pain in the ass. I hate that. I had to make a special tool to do that with. Taking your SIM card out is not really good housekeeping recommended. See, I'm living in this place which is infested with people who say recommended. I kind of like the word, actually, recommended. So anyway, here I got my SIM card out. It's a pain in the ass to do. So, and I'm going to leave the thing off for like 5 minutes. Now, while I'm doing that, I hope I'm able to get back on the web. Because I have found, apparently God wants me to do this. Because, I shouldn't be able to get on YouTube at 5 kilobytes per second. I don't know how that works. I think it's because Google wants information. And they're going to continue taking this information until the federales tell them not to do it anymore. But right now, I'm postulating my theory that the reason why my phone pictures are disappearing into the ether, as it were, except when I try to call them up for these websites, I'm going to disconnect my WhatsApp. I'm going to disconnect my Facebook Messenger. I'm going to disconnect everything that I have. My friends will have to communicate with me through email or regular messenger text. And then I'll have to see if those pictures disappear. But I got to take some pictures right now that I want my friends on Facebook to see about my living situation. My friend drinks and gets violent, and he's broken my door in twice, and I had to take a steel bar and screw it into the wood with long screws to get it so that my deadbolt has something to catch before the door's open. Now, this is a hollow core door. You ought to see what he's done to the hollow core door. I'm going to post that on Facebook as soon as possible, because I'm tired of this. Look, I suppose I can just store my stuff in a storage cabinet and live in the street. So far, the only people who have contacted me about a place are people on YouTube who apparently don't have the intelligence to realize that when you advertise to get a place in a certain area and you specify it, that they're not supposed to call you about a place that you're not even going to, I'm supposed to send this guy money, and he'll send me a key to this house. This is a common scam on YouTube. People do this all the time. It's been done to me, and I'm figuring, well, fuck it. The police have bent over backwards to make sure that I would be homeless. after being put in prison ostensibly for making fun of rednecks, crackers, shit kickers, and peckerwoods. The Iowa Supreme Court determined that that was not a crime, making fun of rednecks, crackers, shit kickers, and peckerwoods. You can do that. They passed a law in Illinois because of me, because of my exposure to the Rock Island Police Department in facilitating drug sales in the black community. And they do this. I'm assured they do this by many people in the black community, and that includes 6 men of God. And I'm assured they do this simply because they want to destroy the black community, and they're perfectly willing to let narcotics do that, as well as just shooting people. And everybody who is a viewer of YouTube is familiar with what the police are doing. Now, why are the police doing this? This is my theory. The police are raised just like everybody else. And when they're growing up, their parents stick them in front of a TV, which is the babysitter, and they get to watch hundreds of thousands of acts of violence of humans against others. And it makes them less sensitized. And they're more likely to shoot your ass for a parking ticket. Or for nothing. I saw a Chicago pig. And I draw a distinction between officers and pigs. I saw a pig beat the holy shit out of an old lady in a wheelchair. Beat the shit out of her because she has a mouth on her. You got a mouth on you. You know what? So what? So fucking what? I got a mouth on me too. And I had 10 fingers. I generally only type with 2, but I got 10 fingers. And I got a keyboard. And I have the truth. When I published my website and was in possession of government documents which prove that the Justice Department and DHS knew that Ruth Butler had obtained a human being through human trafficking, they then knew that Ruth Butler was doing something funky with this baby because the baby ended up telling him. And when the baby ended up telling them, they locked the baby out of their offices and would only talk to the primary sexual abusers. And at this point in time, that baby has grown up and is so psychologically damaged that full-blown Stockholm syndrome. I spent good money to find this shit out. When I had money, I figured, well, if you can't do something good with your money, what good is it? And I found out shit I didn't want to find out. And I found out that the government, the mandatory reporters who worked for the government, refused to do anything about this, and they knew about it. They knew. They knew. It was no secret. I did a thorough investigation. I talked to Wanda Butler's childhood friends, and I talked to their parents if they were still alive. They told me that they knew Wanda was being horribly abused, but just because of the way she acted. And apparently they knew something about that. I never knew anything about this issue until I met Wanda Butler. I never knew anything about it. And now I've learned that apparently if you're a black child and another black person has you, and the government can't even find out where you came from, they will let that person keep you. And they will let that person keep you beyond the point of where you beg and plead to get out of that house. They will do that because they're white people and they're nothing but trouble. This is Dmitry Ivanovich, a.k.a. Jeff Soberoff, or maybe the other way around, with the naked truth.